right, good morning, folks. Today is Tuesday, May 10th. Welcome to Simply Cyber's daily morning cybersecurity threat briefing, previously known as First Things First. We're striking first things first from the title going forward, people. Production update. I'm your host, Gerald Auger, and over the next 30 minutes, I'll be delivering the top cybersecurity news of the day and providing expert analysis on each of these stories, what it means to you as a practitioner, or if you're looking to break in the industry. We definitely got something hot for you today. Let me turn this light up a little bit so you guys don't think I'm operating in the shadows. Shout out and thanks to this stream sponsor, Barricade Cyber Solutions. Cyber criminals have stolen your company's data and derailed your business operations. Barricade Cyber Solutions will help you resolve this ransomware attack and get your business back on track. Give Eric Taylor and the gang over there a call if you're dealing with a real ransomware incident. I want to remind you, if you hold professional certifications that require CPEs, each episode of your daily cybersecurity threat briefing is worth half a CPE, so they stack 2.5 a week, 10 a month. Be sure to document literally the easiest, and I would argue the most enjoyable way to earn CPEs. If you're live, love it. I see, holy Jesus, 60 plus people already. Love it. Thanks for being here, everybody. If you're watching on replay, thanks for catching the stream. Definitely drop a comment in chat. The chat is on screen, as you can see, and that will be your audit record in case your certification body ever says, oh, what's this daily cyber threat briefing you're taking 40 credits for? And you can be like, bruh, here's a link. Get back to me when you're done with your audit. Now, if you're watching on replay and you want to jump right to the news, when that ticker next in the bottom middle there gets down to 0, we're going to start, so you can scrub to the right. But for the next 54 seconds, I'll be welcoming folks into chat. Good morning, everybody. Thanks for granting me some grace that first few minutes I had. What else? What else would it have been? Audio issues. That's how I feel about it, man. I just want to throw my computer out the window sometimes. Hey, Anna Lynn. Hey, Ryan. Elroy. Sabas, good to see you, APT. Let me know if Matt Jones is in chat. Matt Jones, good friend of mine. One of the most solid cybersecurity architects I've ever met. He told me he was going to start joining us every morning. So if he is, cheers to you, Matt. Here's a cup of coffee. We're listening to Future Pop by Restream. We're going to roll with that and see what happens. I'll play the Future Pop music during the podcast. Let me know in chat if you don't like the music underneath the podcast. That's fine. 90 days video is gold. Thanks, Junior. Yeah, guys. So just a real quick production note. 2 things for everybody, and then we'll get into the stories. One, I'm calling a daily cyber threat brief. I'm getting rid of First Things First. I talked to Candace Hughes yesterday, and I'm trying to get this show to reach as many people as possible, to help as many people as possible. And the First Things First moniker is kind of confusing if you don't know what we're doing in here. So daily cyber threat brief, it can't get any more clear on what we're doing in here. And secondly, if you were in the squad, thank you for your support squad members. I can add 8 new emojis or emotes or whatever that are custom for squad members only. So drop it in chat or Discord if you have any suggestions on what custom emotes you guys would like to throw up during streams, and I will get those commissioned. And I'm actually talking to a graphic artist on Friday about doing that work for us. All right, guys, let's get into it. If you want, hold on, I got to get one more cup of coffee. Andres, good to see you. Alex, how are you? Shinadu, good to see you. Eternal Stranger. Get that pump on. Get that pump on, Eternal Stranger. Guys, if you want to play along, go to cisoseries.com. David Spark and his gang over at cisoseries.com puts this podcast together that we piggyback on. Great work. Love what they're doing over there. Can't recommend them enough. Let's get into it.
From the CISO series, it's cybersecurity headlines.
Let me know if that music underneath is a problem, folks.
Tuesday, May 10th, 2022. Ransomware state of emergency in Costa Rica. Newly sworn in Costa Rican President Rodrigo Chavez wasted no time in declaring a state of emergency, citing recent cyber attacks from the Conti ransomware group that hit multiple government agencies. Conti actors initially claimed to have attacked Costa Rican agencies last month, impacting digital services from the Treasury, the Ministry of Science, Innovation, Technology, and Telecommunications, and the Costa Rican Social Security Fund, among others. Bleeping Computer observed Conti publishing most of a 672 gigabyte data trove that appears to belong to Costa Rican agencies. Conti operators appeared to initially ask for a $10 million ransom from the Costa Rican ministry.
Okay, I think I have to get rid of this music. This music's tough. Yeah, I put the music low. I'll go back. Yeah, it's distracting to me too, Karen, trying to listen to the story. Okay, guys. So basically, we read about this last week where Conti ransomware, Conti ransomware from the Wizard Spider threat group attacked Costa Rica. So $10 million is what they asked for. Costa Rica told them to pound sand. So they released everything as they are prone to do. So not surprising here, right, guys? Conti says what they're going to do, and then they do it accordingly. So there isn't much for Costa Rica to recover from. Well, excuse me. Costa Rica's machines are probably still ransomware, but their data is out there. This is part of that double extortion scheme. I don't know how much damage Costa Rica's internal documentation is. Hopefully not too bad. What a tough break for this guy, Chavez. You know, like you get elected in the middle of a crisis. So we'll see. I don't know if Eric Taylor of Barricade Cyber Solutions, he's in chat. If he's got any thoughts on this or has heard anything, he's kind of tapped into the dark web. But guys, this right here, this is basically a straight up example of how bad a ransomware attack can be. So it sucks that it's Costa Rica, but Conti doesn't care if you're a country, if you're a university. They even attacked healthcare back in October 21, like a focused effort on healthcare. They don't give a crap. They care about money. That's all they care about. Okay. So this is a great story, unless you're Costa Rican and live there. This is a great story to bookmark and have ready for your slide deck when you're making your budget requests or when you're trying to educate executives, right? Like this may or may not fall on deaf ears with general end users or IT staff or something like that. I mean, it's interesting because everybody knows about Costa Rica, but with the executives, if you say, hey, listen, CEO or whatever, like if 97% of all of our internal documentation, all of our emails, all of our patents, all of our R&D, all of our employment records were published online, how bad would that suck? And would you be willing to pay $10 million in order to have it not released? And that's a real question. And most of them are going to say, hell no, that sounds like ransom. Surprise, right? So maybe you can make that connection with the executives that, yes, it is ransom. You get it now? Please cut me a check for 400 grand. Doesn't that seem like so much? Hold on. Please cut me a check for 400 grand. Doesn't that seem like a drop in the bucket compared to a $10 million ransom? And by the way, $10 million ransom is not what you're going to typically get. I mean, that's high, but not wicked. I mean, that's high, but I find other ransoms for like normal organizations, not Fortune 100 companies, is typically not that high. They'll usually strike high and then negotiate down knowing what they're going to get. And that's part of like the deal now with dealing with threat actors in this way. So anyways, bookmark it, use it. Hopefully you get budget, or at minimum, you can use this in a job interview and be like, what's the real suck of ransomware? Well, here's a real suck of ransomware. This Costa Rican example right here.
Microsoft launches services to fill the cyber skills gap.
Oh boy,
Microsoft
here we go with
announced
this.
3 new managed security services under its new Microsoft Security Expert Suite. The company says these are designed for organizations of any size impacted by the ongoing cybersecurity skill shortage. Microsoft Defender Experts for XDR will enter into preview this fall, effectively offering a managed version of Microsoft 365 Defender. Security services for enterprise officially launched in full, offering security consulting services from the company. And a preview of Microsoft Defender Experts for Hunting launched, which looks for threats across a customer's endpoints and cloud applications.
All right. This is not a bad idea. Okay, this is not a bad idea, and this is actually pretty savvy of Microsoft. Now, there are people in the industry who think XDR is just like, whatever, the next, single pane of glass, the next AI, ML, next gen. Like it's just a fluffy buzzword that marketing people like to use, but this is legit. Guys, I have worked in multiple Microsoft 365 environments. This is why I tell people, if you're gonna look at cloud as a potential area of study and become an expert in something, look at Azure. Microsoft is taking over the space for essentially not managed services. Like for moving your environment up to cloud, and it's not like a lift and shift of your infrastructure. It's truly what cloud is supposed to be: platform as a service. So your email is up there, your authentication is up there, your Office docs and file server and crap like that. But the point is, Microsoft 365 Defender is their endpoint detection and response solution, unless they've renamed it. They've renamed this thing a few times. And all of your endpoints push telemetry up into one centralized console up in Office 365, and it's dynamite. I have had to work blue in a Microsoft environment, and it's great. There's a lot of automation going on. The Exchange Online protection is pretty sweet, pretty dope as far as like successful true positives on blocking email. So it's really good. But here's the thing: it can get overwhelming. There's a lot of telemetry being pushed up into Office 365. There's a lot of emails being flagged, and it's really difficult to wade through that. So you kind of just begin to slide a bit, right? You kind of just find the high priority things, you kind of deal with those. So by offering this service, this is good for organizations, bad for information security people, because you're essentially going to be able to outsource a kind of security operations capability to Microsoft here using this professional services. I would definitely be interested in exploring it. This is a great option. You know who this is perfect for? Okay, check this out. And then I'll go on to the next story. This is perfect. Jason Skates, if you're listening, this is perfect for you. This is awesome. So businesses love to spend money on subscription services or contract services. They don't like spending money on operating costs, which is like what labor is, right? That's why that's why businesses will spend 300 grand on a consultant instead of just hiring someone to do the damn job for $100,000 salary, because it's a different color of money and they like that color of money. It's easier for the books or whatever. I don't get it, but it's a reality. Here's the deal with this. If you're like a one-man shop and you're in Office 365, or like you're a two-person shop, right? Let's get real for 2022. You can take advantage of this and easily extend your information security team and have knowledgeable experts who are working just in the Microsoft Office 365 management space for you. That is exactly how I would target this. This is, now that I'm kind of working through it in my head, this is going to be great for a lot of organizations to extend their capability, because, dude, here's the thing. It's such a pain in the ass trying to get more headcount for your team. You're like, we're drowning over here, man. Can you please give us another person? And they're like, how about a new appliance? And you're like, no, I don't need a new appliance. I need a body to run the appliances we already own. Okay. With this, you're like, hey, let's get some professional services. CFO is going to be like, how much do I make the checkout for? So go on and get some of this, people. I'm excited now that I've worked through this.
College closes permanently due to ransomware. Lincoln College informed the Illinois Department of Higher Education and Higher Learning Commission that it will close its doors as of May 13th. This is believed to be the first U.S. college to shutter operations as a result of a ransomware attack. In December, the college was hit by a ransomware attack, hindering access to all institutional data and took down all systems around recruitment, retention, and fundraising. Lincoln College restored access in March 2022, but combined with falling enrollment due to the COVID-19 pandemic, could not find a viable way forward with operations.
Wow. Okay, here's another one. Bookmark this one. This could happen to you. Now, a couple things here. Like for you and I as practitioners, they were unable to access systems for months. Bro, that was really poor preparation, right? And I know, guys, listen, I worked in higher ed for about 6 years. Higher ed is a difficult environment. A lot of professors want not free. They want everyone to have access to everything. They want to be able to collaborate unencumbered. It's like summer of love in California back up in higher ed. So it doesn't surprise me that there's all this looseness, but months to recover, that is really unfortunate and really surprising. I would argue, guys, I've said it a million times on this channel. Like, you have to prep for ransomware. It will hit you. And what it does, the level of suck is going to depend on how much work you did up front to prepare for it, right? It's like anything else, guys. If you don't like pack the right gear when you go camping and it rains, it's gonna suck. But if you prep the right gear, you're just like, oh man, I love sleeping to the sound of rain pitter patter on my tent, right? So Jesus, like, I'm sorry for these people. You know who else I feel bad for? All the people who work there. That sucks. I feel bad for the students who are about to graduate and now have to figure out if their credits transfer and deal with all that nonsense. So probably wrecked a community. Really sucks. It doesn't say um, which ransomware it hit, but God dang. Yeah, just whatever. Bookmark it and explain that this is the real impact that can potentially hit you. All right. All right. Oh, Matt Jones is showing me pictures of his running shoes. So I guess he's not with us today. Hold on.
Tech trade groups come out against India's reporting mandate. We reported last week on updates to India's Information Technology Act that would require reporting cybersecurity incidents within 6 hours to government regulators. Unsurprisingly, the industry trade group ITI, which includes Apple, Google, Microsoft, Adobe, Visa, and other tech giants, has publicly come out against the revisions. The trade group was critical of the overly broad criteria for reporting incidents, saying these provisions may have severe consequences for enterprises and their global customers without solving the genuine security concerns. ITI made the case that a 72-hour window would be more reasonable to sort out any false positives from an organization.
Thank you. So someone who actually works in the industry and has a clue pushed back on this. We talked about this last week. Hold on. Why am I all frothed up today, guys? I am so frothed up. Listen, we talked about this the other day where it was like 6 hours to report. Are you joking me with that nonsense? And we all in chat were like, what the hell is this about? So clearly it was, politicians or bureaucrats or somebody who had been, who has lawmaking capability that had been personally affected in some way by a cyber incident. So they were like, you know what we need? We need to know before the end of the business day. Let's make it 6 hours. And that is so ridiculous in practice. And way to go. I'm glad that, the people like us have, God, this is going to sound so backwards, but we have champions like Apple and Google, who, by the way, I'm sure they have their own agenda on why they don't want it to be 6 hours, obviously. Follow the money, right? Cash money. But this is so dumb, right? You are so dumb. So 72 hours is more of a standard. We've seen that in different areas. The state of South Carolina, for example, has 72-hour notification for privacy, personal identification data breaches. It's not awesome, but within 72 hours, I would argue you at least have a sit rep that you could provide. Hey, this system was compromised. We're investigating potentially these data assets were compromised. After 72 hours, that's more than reasonable, right? You still could have false positives, but the false hit rate will be lower. So we'll see what happens here with this. I mean, again, this affects people who live in India much, more than the United States. But for these large companies, these big tech companies that are basically countries, Apple, Google, Microsoft, Meta, didn't say Meta, but I'm sure they push back too. They are required to abide by this in that country. And that country has a ton of people in it. So that's a ton of market. So they don't want to pull out of that, right? So part of the thing that they said was you had to report incidents that involved any of these elements. I haven't looked at this really quick, but targeted scanning, probing of critical networks and systems. I'm just going to do this really quick, right? Just as a cybersecurity professional. The first one, Targeted scanning, probing of critical network systems. What is critical? Define critical. Is critical to me because my business depends on it? Is it critical infrastructure because the government depends on it? Is it like what is critical? Secondly, dude, put anything on the internet and within a minute, I'm telling you, spin up a VM, within a minute, you will start getting pinged and hit, right? There's people scanning all over the net, good and bad, right? Shodan's scanning everywhere, and we don't consider them bad. So what, like this first one, you're gonna have to hire a full-time person to report on this every day. So this is stupid. This is dumb. You are so dumb. Number one. Okay. I'm not gonna go through the rest. It makes sense when you write it down and you say it out loud, but in practice and in like execution, it's not real. It's dumb. I need a sound that says this is so dumb. So dumb. What am I on right now, guys? Like, this coffee's good, but Jesus. Woo!
And now a word from our at datadoghq.com/CISO. Researchers warn of cheap Trojan for sale. Security researchers at BlackBerry warned of a remote access Trojan called DCRAT available for sale on Russian forums with a starting price of around $5 US for a 2-month license.
There you go.
This makes it one of the cheapest available commercial rat products found by researchers. It appears to be the work of a lone malware author, although the researchers found it to be actively maintained with a modular structure written in .NET. The price seems to have made it more popular as of late, but it first appeared on the threat landscape in 2018, although seems to have been redesigned and relaunched a year later.
Hold on. First of all, I got good news for everybody. I brought a second cup of coffee. That's the good stuff. Yes. Okay, so check it out. First of all, this is ridiculously cheap. $5 a month for a subscription fee to a remote access Trojan software. Looks like it's full featured too. That says here that they've got Stealer, administrator tool, and a C2 interface that's a single PHP page. Very nice. Nice clean interface. I like that. $5 a month, guys. Like that's 1/4 of a Netflix subscription. That's like $5 a month is very affordable. So I almost wonder if this individual is young and didn't know how to price it. I do like that they offered like marketing, like 600 rubles. But if you call in the next 15 minutes, if you call in the next 2 minutes and 57 seconds, it will be 500 rubles. This discount's available only to use. Use coupon code SimplyCyber. So anyways, long story short, I like that the marketing and stuff like that. It is interesting. Also, you'll notice that they're using Telegram. A lot of threat actors are now using Telegram to communicate publicly. Very interesting. There's a couple like mechanisms for threat actor groups, criminals, to communicate publicly that's safe for them. And Telegram is one of them. So I find that, just as an aside, very interesting. Now, the one thing with this remote access Trojan, well, there's two things that I would call your attention to. One, because this is so cheap, I would definitely be mindful of what the TTPs are, or the indicators of compromise, not the TTPs, the indicators of compromise for this remote access Trojan, so you can make sure it's not in your environment. Because guys, basically when you're doing a risk analysis, it's likelihood and impact. The impact's obviously pretty sucky, but it's static. The likelihood goes up because more people can afford it, frankly. So there could be a widespread push of this. So be aware of the indicators of compromise. You'd have to dig into the story a little bit to get it. It looks like this thing's been around since 2018, so 4 years. It is being actively maintained, which means the indicators of compromise could change a little bit, especially lower down in the pyramid of pain. So the IP addresses, the hashes of the rat file, but the .NET mechanism of it, however it pushes itself into the, like if it does process hollowing or something, I don't know what it does. But these things right here would be very difficult to redo. So look for those type of indicators. You have to dig in, but tune your EDR solution to look for this type of stuff, and you should be fine. I forget the other thing I was going to say is, but yeah.
Bounty. The U.S. Department of State issued a notice offering up to $15 million for information on the leaders of the Conti ransomware group or for any individuals participating in an attack. In the notice announcing the bounty, the State Department said it was the costliest strain of ransomware on record, impacting over 1,000 victims as of the start of 2022. For some reference, back in May 2021, the FBI sent out an alert on Conti, saying at the time it was responsible for over 400 attacks. This isn't the first bounty by the State Department either, offering a similar chunk of change for information on the leaders of the DarkSide and Revil ransomware groups.
Yeah. So we talked about this yesterday on this Simply Cyber Daily Cyber Threat Briefing about the State Department offering $10 million for information leading to Conti people and an additional $5 million if those threat actors were in fact arrested. So for the total of $15 million. Again, I predict 30 to 45 days, unless 30 to 45 days, there will be some news story of somebody getting arrested in the Conti group. They'll probably claim it's the mastermind of it because that sells papers. Or papers. Back in my day, news used to be reported in papers. So here's the thing. The only reason we may not hear about it in 30, 45 days, aside from the fact that maybe they don't get someone, is that if they get someone, they're going to keep them close, keep it unreported, and then try to roll that person. Hey, you don't want to go to jail, like rat out the rest of your gang, and we'll go from there. So that's how the FBI works. This is the State Department, but I would have to think, actually the FBI is internal. I mean, US based only. They wouldn't go after Conti, maybe CIA. Anyways, I didn't think of the Costa Rican government angle. Also, honestly, I could see this State Department thing leveling up because of the attack on the agriculture industry. We saw Agco got ransomware yesterday. CISA Shields Up is in full effect, right? So the U.S. is on heightened alert about some crap going down. And Conti, frankly, is the most compelling, the most efficient, the most ruthless, the most effective ransomware threat actor right now. So it's no wonder they're trying to go after them. Come on, man. What the heck?
Nvidia crypto limiter bypassed. Last year, Nvidia released the RTX 3000 series GPUs with a light hash rate limiter, making them inefficient for cryptocurrency mining in the hopes that this would improve the supply situation for gaming GPUs. The developers of the cryptocurrency mining software NiceHash announced they successfully bypassed Nvidia's limiter. TechSpot reports several benchmarking sites have confirmed NiceHash's claims. Earlier this year, a claimed mitigation for Nvidia's cards turned out to just be malware. And now...
Okay, so two things. Well, many things. First of all, this Master Chief like loving on a Ryzen chip is funny to me. Okay, I was never a Halo person, but this is funny to me. Okay, so Nvidia, guys, we talk about crypto all the time, right?
I'm a crypto evangelist. I love it, love it, love it.
Graphic cards are really good at mining crypto, right? They can do complex math formulas, which is essentially what mining crypto is. Now, Nvidia apparently put some type of limiter on it to prevent you from doing that. Now, without knowing the full story, I do not dig the fact that Nvidia would put some type of limiter on it. Listen, if I buy a piece of hardware like this, I can use it for whatever I want. I can use it to keep my desk from wobbling. I could use it to play the newest version of Fortnite, or I could mine crypto. It's none of your business what I'm doing with it. Long as it's legal, you can suck it. So don't put a limiter on my hardware. Okay, second of all, I'm glad that someone bypassed it. No surprise, right? Software is software. And when there's a will, there's a way. And people are going to want to use it to mine. Now, the only thing that I could see a reason for Nvidia in introducing this, and I really wish they had allowed people to decide whether or not they wanted it. But if a threat actor gets into your computer or gets onto your network or whatever and takes advantage of your graphics card to do mining, which is not uncommon, right? We see crypto jacking. You can Google that if you're not familiar with that term. We see crypto jacking quite often in the browser of end users. So that you can be abused. Um, and then the final thing, and this is something that I tell my 10-year-old often, and this is very applicable to end users. So work this into your security awareness program, guys. This happens mostly with younger people because they lack money, typically, right? So they said that there was a piece of software that would allow you to bypass the limiter, but it turned out just to be malware. Threat actors are well aware of when you're trying to find something, right? So when you're trying to illegally watch, the Olympic stream on whatever, or you're trying to download, we saw this not too long ago too. The new Spider-Man came out, Far From Home or Long Way Home or whatever home. And it was out in the theaters, and then the next day there was it was available on all these illegal streaming sites, but in reality it was just malware. So when people are trying to subvert normal processes in order to get something for nothing, like a password cracker, a free piece of software, some type of thing that does something on your computer, you have to run the risk of it being malware and you introducing it to your system, which is exactly what happened in this instance. And guys, with crypto stuff, I know this is crypto mining, but we're seeing info stealers all over the place. Redline info stealer, quite notably, that will get on your computer and steal your crypto wallet, like unload all your money to the threat actor, among other things. So you've got to be really careful when you're dealing with kind of sus software, frankly. So just be mindful of that.
Oh, your Should Have Patched Tuesday update. F5 notified users of its big IP application delivery controllers of 18 high-severity vulnerabilities. One is deemed critical, allowing for an unauthenticated attacker with network access to execute system commands. Meanwhile, security researchers at Armis discovered vulnerabilities in network equipment from Aruba and Avaya, dubbed TL Storm 2.0, that misuses the Nano SSL TLS library to potentially break network segmentation. Armis said there's no evidence of these being exploited in the wild and worked with the vendors to issue patches. And finally, the package management site RubyGems.com patched a server-side vulnerability that could have allowed attackers to remove a third-party package.
Okay.
Thanks for listening.
All right. So, basically that last story was just a bunch of, security vulnerability patches that need to come out. Basically, you should have an idea of what technology is in your environment, and you should be mindful. I mean, that's part of the reason that we do morning threat briefings, mindful of big concerning vulnerabilities in your environment. This big IP one we talked about earlier in the week, maybe yesterday, I guess would be earlier in the week or last week. This is a big one. Just as a quick aside, if you have F5 big IP in your environment, you may want to watch Black Hills Information Security's Talkin' News. It was a live stream that they did yesterday afternoon, talking all about this particular vulnerability and the reality of how you would fix it in your environment and some of the concerns with it. It was a really great discussion. I don't even have F5 big IP in my environment, and I still watched it and I still got value out of it. So definitely check that out if you're interested. But normal best practices, guys. Stay on, your stuff. Okay. All right. So that's gonna do it for this episode of First Things First. Oh Jesus, it's not First Things First. This is gonna do it for this episode of the Daily Cyber Threat Brief. Just as a reminder, guys, if you want to hang out every Wednesday at 11:30, I play the ThreatGen Red versus Blue cybersecurity simulation platform. I flip-flop between operating as a red team operator and a blue team operator week over week. And I always have like a fun scenario associated with it so you can understand the mindset, the perspective. I'm truly putting this into a simulation model where if I'm blue, I'll do certain security frameworks, or if I'm red, I'll take a position on something. And tomorrow at 11:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, I will be operating as a hacktivist who's pissed at an oil and gas company, and I am going to take them down. I'm going to publicly embarrass them, and I'm going to drive their revenues into the ground to the point where they go out of business. That is my goal for this particular model. and I'll walk you through all of my kind of the cyber kill chain, the mentality of a hacktivist, and how we're going to not blow up, but we're going to destroy that oil and gas company. You can get to this, but it will be paired on Simply Cyber, but you can get to it by going to ThreatGen. You can see ThreatGen spelled out right here. ThreatGen's YouTube channel. And, whatever. If you hit subscribe and stuff, you should be made aware when I go live at 11:30 tomorrow. But I hope you can join us. I know some of you have already joined me the last couple weeks, and it's a good time. We have a nice chill time, some educational opportunity there. Also, guys, after the vote yesterday, I've opted for the GRC entry-level interview. So if you are interested in interview questions, specifically around what you might get asked for a GRC analyst position, I have extensive experience in the GRC space. I've hired people into GRC. I'm going to do all the questions, all the answers. As a quick spoiler, I started looking for GRC interview questions online, and there are none. Just like there was no GRC training, so I had to make my own GRC training for everybody. So now I'm going to have to make GRC entry-level interview questions and I'll do the answers, but questions for everybody. So it'll be legit questions that I ask and would expect people to be asked in interviews. And again, not only will I tell you the answer, because you're not going to want to memorize my answer, but I'll explain why I'm asking the question and what's the reason behind it. That way, when you get asked a similar question or conceptually a similar question, you'll have it in your mind oh, this is why they're asking that, how I can relate that to my personal experience or my personal perspective. Got this. So it's going to be a huge session. It's just going to be me, no guest. You guys will be the guest, frankly. So we'll have a good time. Guys, yeah, do me a favor. I see you guys all saying hit the like button. Thanks so much. Yeah, if you can, hit the like. If you got any value from this, the way that I appreciate support and thanks is hitting the like button, hitting subscribe. Obviously, I love building the community, frankly, and I see you guys sharing it on social media. Thank you. I genuinely believe that there is real value here for lots of people, and I'm part of the reason I changed the name First Things First and dropped that is because I'm trying to reach a wider audience and help more people. So thank you for Eula Chua, I see you. Thanks for getting up at 5 a.m. this morning, Eula. Guys, I flipped out a little bit unexpectedly this morning. Thanks for being here. I'll go back and watch chat for the emote ideas and expect those to come in the next week or two onto the squad emotes, okay? And I'll tease those. Guys, this has been the Daily Cyber Threat Briefing for May 10th. Thank you so much. We'll see you guys tomorrow at 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Bye, everybody.